Hello everyone. Today I am going to be doing my first video ever, and it's going to be a contemporary book recommendation. So I always get asked for book recommendations, and usually I always recommend the same books over and over. If any of these books look familiar, then it's probably because I've recommended one of these. So of course, it wouldn't be a book recommendation for me if we didn't start off with one of my favorite authors. So, Colleen Hoover. Okay, so I have 4 books here out of all the books that I've read of hers. I have a couple I haven't read. The most recent ones, like Regretting You and Verity. I haven't read those books yet. So I have them, I just have not gotten around to them. So where should we start? So I guess I should start off with the book I first read from hers, which was Maybe Someday. I don't know how I found this book. I don't know who recommended the book. I just remember that I fell in love with it. And I fell in love with her as a writer. So the book is about a guy named Reid, who is a deaf musician, and he kind of gets to know this girl named Sydney, who just got cheated on by her boyfriend. And it's not a spoiler, it's like on the first page or so. The book is just, you guys, it's just the cutest thing ever. I fell in love with this book. I fell in love with Reid. It was so cute. Still, I think it's a great book. I highly recommend it. Super cute. Then we have November 9th, which is about this guy named Ben and a girl named Fallon. Fallon and Ben meet every November 9th for I believe 5 years. And it's kind of crazy because you get to see only their years, only their lives on that November 9th every year to follow. So at first when I read this book, I felt like it was a lot happening, but then I'm like, wait a minute, it's been 5 years. So I don't know, I thought it was a cool idea, the book itself. I really do like the characters. I thought Ben was awesome. I just don't like one of the things that happened in this book with Ben. Oh, if you guys have read this story, you know what I'm talking about, but highly recommend. Then we have Ugly Love. The book is about this girl named Tate who is kind of starting off this thing with her brother's friend Miles. You know, she likes him, she wants to get to know him, but he doesn't really let his walls down. And she's like, you know what? I'm gonna make it happen. So good book, you guys. Really sad. Love Miles, love Tate. I think it takes place in San Francisco too. If it does, love San Francisco. Great book. But if you know me, you'll know that my favorite Colleen Hoover book is It Ends With Us. It's the #1 book I recommend to everybody. It changed my life. Okay, so the book is basically about this girl named Lily who lives in Boston, and you know, the book starts off with her going to her dad's funeral. She does a eulogy. It doesn't turn out the way she wants it to, and then she meets a doctor. Hey, why not, right? So she meets a doctor named Ryle, and you know, he's like a sexy doctor. He wants to get to know her. She's like, yes, and she starts a relationship with him. So at some point, she discovers these letters that they're her diary entries that she made when she was younger, and she had her first love named Atlas. And it's awesome to see the way that she thought as a younger kid, because she was like 15 or 16. So it's just so cute to see her memories, because I was like, oh my God, I was so that girl. First of all, I wrote to Ellen so many times. Even though she didn't write to Ellen, she directed her diary entries to Ellen. But I actually wrote to Ellen, and I was like, Ellen, girl, I want to get on your show, and this is why I deserve it. But I thought it was just so cute. And she comes from a very difficult, like, household. Obviously, in this book, you'll see that the main topic of it is domestic violence. I'm very thankful that in my life, I never experienced that with my parents, but seeing it here, reading it here is so heartbreaking. I love this book. I highly recommend it. I don't think I'll ever stop recommending it. I almost want to read it again. Colleen Hoover. Colleen Hoover. What is going on? Okay, now we're gonna move on to Christina Lauren. So if you guys don't know, Christina Lauren are two friends who write books together, and they go under Christina Lauren. Actually, I have so many of Christina Lauren's books. So obviously, if you guys don't know, Christina Lauren, they have the Beautiful series, which are Beautiful Player, Beautiful Secret, Beautiful Liar. I don't know, it's a lot of them. But out of all of them, my favorite is Beautiful Player. So the story takes place in New York, and it's about Hannah, who is super busy with work. She's also doing her grad school. And her whole family is like, hey, Hannah, you got to get it together. We need you to experience life. School's important, work is important, but you're missing out, girl. So she kind of only really has Will, who is her brother's best friend. And they kind of start hanging out. Things happen. Will's a player, if you can tell, beautiful player. And yeah, so they're kind of experiencing their friendship, and they take things to another level. Will, obviously, you know, he doesn't really want anything serious. Hannah just wants to be able to relax with someone, and they relax together. Anyway, so they relax together, and Will he just can't get enough of her. And Hannah's like, whoa, Will, calm down, man. But yeah, it's really cute. It's really funny. If you guys ever want to read something super light, sometimes when I recommend Christina Lauren books, I'm like, hey, there's some like freaky stuff going in there if you don't mind. And then some people are like, not my thing, don't really like to read about it. Some are like, something to keep me entertained is good. So the next book I'm going to recommend is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. This book, the only thing, which I guess is not that great putting it in this book video, but I don't remember a lot about it. So you guys, I have really bad memory, like bad memory. I forget a lot of the things in these books very easily. So I had to like reread a couple of these, like a couple chapters, kind of freshen up on what's going on in these books, because I read like a lot. So I do tend to sometimes, especially the same authors, I tend to mix up the characters, some of the story plots. So Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating, I don't really remember much. I remember like certain scenarios, but I don't want to spoil it. But I do remember it being really funny and really cute, and I loved Hazel. The book I don't have with me, but I want to recommend by Christina Lauren is Sweet Filthy Liar. So Sweet Filthy Liar is about Ansel. Is that his name? Atlas is from, no, Ansel. Oh my God. Mia and Ansel. Yeah. Okay, I think it's Ansel and Mia, and the reason why I love that book is because it does take place in Paris, but love the book. I think it's so cute. It's about Mia. She kind of went through an accident, and she's about to go off to college, and she doesn't really know what she wants. She doesn't really know what she wants out of life, and he helps her find it. I think his name is Ansel. If it's not, I feel so bad. I don't even have the book. Oops. But super cute book. Same thing, some nasty in there. I loved it. I was like, get it, Mia, because it made her feel more comfortable in her body, which was something that she struggled with. And Ansel was just like, yes, that's my girl. And I was like, yes, that is your girl. Loved it. Just give it a try. And that's part of the Wild series from Christina Lauren. Taylor Jenkins Reid, One True Loves. Okay. So I read this book a couple years ago, and it's about this girl, Emma, who met her high school sweetheart, Jesse, and they fall in love, and they get married, and they create their lives, and they move from Massachusetts to, I believe it's California. I believe they moved to LA. Okay. And Jesse is traveling for work. I think he's traveling by helicopter or something like that. He's like doing some sort of, I think he's a photographer or journalist. I can't really remember. But he goes missing, and they can't find him for years. And Emma has to move back to Massachusetts. She has her family there. They help her out. And she kind of has a hard time moving on. Obviously, we can't find him. It's been years. So Emma, when she moves back home, she gets back in touch with a friend named Sam, and they kind of just, you know, keep each other company, and they start a relationship. Years move on. She's about to get married to him, and she finds out that Jesse's not dead. And the story basically has to do with, you know, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna go back to the guy you were once married to but has been missing for years? Or will you move forward with the guy that you have created a life with now and you're about to get married to? And honestly, as someone that's been with my fiance since I was 18, this book broke my heart. I just, first of all, I can't even imagine what it would be like to be in her spot, to miss, like, you know, your husband's missing, you don't know where he's at for all these years. I would highly recommend this book. I cried. I think I cry a lot, so hey, I'm a crybaby. Hey. So then let's move on to Renee Carlino, Before We Were Strangers. This story follows Matt and Grace, who meet in NYU. They meet while they attend NYU. So Matt comes from a pretty wealthy, well, they're not wealthy, but they're pretty well-off family, and Grace comes from a family that's always struggling. She goes to school, but she also has to pretty much help them out. And, you know, they create this friendship. Matt's into photography, Grace is into music. They, you know, create a friendship. They spend summer together, they fall in love, and then they lose touch when Matt has to go to like a different country. I think he goes to like South America or something like that, and they lose touch. Then when he moves back to New York, he sees Grace in the subway. He's like, there's my boo. I don't know how to wink. But he doesn't know how to get in contact with her. He doesn't know how she's doing. So he puts an ad out. I believe it's on Craigslist. And she sees it. And yeah, it has to do with, you know, what they were doing when they were younger, the friendship that they created, but also what's going on now as they're adults. And love it. Super cute. And it takes place in New York, which I love. A lot of things that happen in Washington Square Park, which I love that place. Probably one of my favorite places of New York besides Central Park and the Met Gala. But I love Washington Square Park. Okay, so let's move on to the last author I'm gonna recommend, and it's K.A. Tucker. So I have two books. First one, The Simple Wild, which I read for my book club. My book club, actually, we read this book together, and we're about to read the second part of The Simple Wild, so I'll let you guys know how that goes. I don't know why I keep winking if I cannot wink. Simple Wild. Super cute. I love that it takes place in Alaska. I've never been to Alaska, but I hear it's beautiful. But it's about this girl named Kella who is living, I believe her mom, when her parents separate, they moved to Toronto or like Canada or something. And then her dad stays in Alaska. And she gets told that her dad's not doing well. He's sick. So she goes back to Alaska to kind of spend some time with him, and she meets Jonah, and Jonah is not nice. He doesn't like her. He's just like, hey, you're a city girl. Which I don't like that. I was just kind of like, you are judging her because she likes to be put together. Really? And what's funny, something that's so funny is so Kala, before, in the beginning, she works at a bank. And I work at a bank, and a lot of my friends from the book club, well, actually all of my friends from the book club, they work at a bank. So, etc. It was just so funny to see that resemblance. Like, we were just like, oh, that's so funny. We do that too, you know? The relationship between Jonah and Kala was slow burning. So it wasn't like super fast love. Obviously, we knew they had an attraction. That's why they fought so much. But we were like, when it happened, thank God, finally, we all knew it was happening. And let's talk about the book that I just finished reading and I love. This is Say You Love Me by K.A. Tucker. And you guys, I just finished reading this book a few days ago, and nostalgia overload. I literally, my heart was like fluttering the whole time. I had butterflies in my stomach. It was just the cutest thing ever. First of all, the book is about a girl named Piper who, you know, comes from a pretty wealthy family. Her dad created kind of an empire for himself. He has like a real estate development company, and her mom comes from a pretty modern background, but obviously married. But her mom wants her to go to camp and have kind of like a experience. Piper's upset because she wanted to go to Italy with her friends, but she has to go to camp. Super jealous that I didn't get to go to camp, because my 6th grade year, we all, like in my elementary school, 6th grade year, everybody went to camp, right? Except when it was my turn, camp got canceled. So cool. But anyway, like if you ever wanted to go to camp, this is gonna make you so sad that you didn't go as a teen. Meets none other than Kyle, and Kyle is like the bad boy. Everybody loves him. Everybody's like, I want to be with Kyle, and Piper's like, me too. And then Kyle is like, I want to be with Piper. And yeah, they have like a summer romance. It's so cute. I loved it. It brought so much nostalgia because of the references that we're making. Like that at one point they were talking about Oasis, and I was like, Oasis. And then it goes back and forth between Piper as 16-year-old Piper and 29-year-old Piper that is now working at her dad's company and is pretty established. But at 29 years old, well, because at 16, after her and Kyle have a little fling, they lose touch completely. But she still keeps in touch with the 2 girls that she made friends with in the camp, which were Ashley and Kristen. And I love that. I love that she kept in touch with them, even though she met them at camp. She's now living with them in, I think it takes place like in the Chicago area, but she's now living with them in a different place, and they have like a townhouse together, and she's not dating anyone. And then she sees Kyle at her office building, and she's like, hold on a minute. You guys, the story was just so adorable, and I loved Kyle. He reminded me so much of Atlas from It Ends With Us, and I loved Piper. I love that she was very strong. She was very outspoken. That Piper, she kind of put a lot of people ahead of her, and she was there for the people that she loved. And even though she came from a lot of money, she knew what was right and what was wrong. So I love that about her. I highly recommend this book. I've actually wanted to read more of K.A Tucker's books. I have read He Will Be My Ruin, which I loved, but it's not, I don't really think it falls under contemporary because it's more thriller, but I still recommend that book. Guys, so that was my recommendation for contemporary books. I hope you guys liked it. Any other recommendations that you guys have for me, comment down below.